Hey everyone, it's Melissa with Slow Life Revolution. We are doing how to meet people in real life. This is part 2 of the class. Thanks so much for being here, you guys, and doing this work in order to go out and meet people in real life, because it can be a slog and annoying to try to meet people all online, and we've all been cooped up during COVID, and it's so much better. I know it's like way scarier to meet people in real life and go out there and put yourself out there, but it's very important to meet people in real life, to see their body language, and that's what we're going to talk about today. It's going outward and being able to read people and thinking about the way you come across, because when we live in a digital world, and we're just swiping or we're just judging based on pictures on Instagram or videos on TikTok, like 15-second videos, it's not deep. We're not getting deep enough to really judge someone based on their whole self. We're judging based on split-second decisions. People are judging you on split-second decisions, and that's just not cool. I mean, whether it's like a resume or a picture on a dating app or Bumble BFF or whatever, or even on Instagram. And it's not the natural way to meet new people. So anyway, I digress. That's why this class is so important. So in part 2, we're going to talk about going outward. So in part 1, we talked about going inward, thinking about learning who we are, thinking about things we used to like to do, thinking about things we can talk to people about, what makes us unique, what makes us cool, and accepting where we are now, and then also thinking about who we are looking for and narrowing it down and then making it a little broader, like being open-minded to the possibilities and changing our mindset in order to meet a lot of new people, and opening the possibility to meet a lot of new people, because there's so many people out there. I know it seems like when you're on a dating app or whatever that there's like no one out there, and because you go through like the same people, or maybe you see the same people, you have the same conversations, and it's like everyone in this community is the same. That's not true. You're just meeting the people who put themselves onto this app. You're not meeting the people who are at a concert or at a bar or at a kickball game or something. Like there's so many different, or a lecture that's interesting. There's so many places to meet new people, which is what we're talking about in the next one. Each module, each part, I kind of talk about the next thing first. Anyway, but in this one, we're going to talk about going outward. So we're going to think about first, I know this is not that much fun, but we're going to think about a time where we had an awkward conversation with someone, where they were awkward. What made it weird? Did they not make eye contact? Did they look away a lot, cross their arms, speak in a monotone voice? So if we reflect about that, we can think a little bit more about how we want to come across and who we don't really want to talk to. There are many ways that people interact that gets missed while living online. We miss body language, just the way you move, shoulders are back, head held high. You turn towards someone and you're looking them straight in the eye, or you looking down, or you like turning away from someone. Tone of voice. Are you being monotone? Are you being playful? Are you being friendly? Are you being stressed out? Are you being strained? Like, you sound sad. Like, there's all these different things that come across that we don't even think about. Mannerisms, moving your hands. I move my hands a lot. And also, this is a weird word, but mastication. I know that means chewing. Okay, that means chewing. But it's the way people move their mouths that can either come across, like, can be cool. Like, there's some times where that can be really off-putting, or you can be drawn to someone and not even know what it is about them, and it could just be a combination of all these things that just attract you to someone. So it's like those times at a party where you're just like, look across a room and see someone and be like, oh, that's like, that person is amazing, and you know nothing about them. And it could be the way they're moving or the way they're talking that just looks familiar. It could be like something very subconscious, like they're talking like your friendly aunt did when you were a child, and you really like that, you're really drawn to that. It could be like, or like, it could be really repulsed by someone too. Like, someone could remind you of a second grade teacher that you really didn't like, and you don't even know before you even talk to them. You're just like, ugh, that person, I don't like that person, based on their body language. So there's all these things that gets missed in digital communication and digital life, by swiping on Instagram and TikTok and like short videos. Actually, videos, you can kind of see this stuff, but there is something to being in person and the way someone is like, because in videos, it's just like, I'm facing the camera. But in real life, I could be facing this way, or I could be like saying, hey to Joe over there, or, there's different ways. It's definitely, you can feel that connection better in real life. And I think we all know that, and that's why you're all here. So in this way, you can think about also how you come across. And the way you come across, based on your body language or the way you speak or everything we just went through, can depend on your mindset. And we talked a little bit about mindset last time. And it can be based on your mood. It can be based on your self-confidence. But your mood and self-confidence going into a situation is sometimes based on your mindset. I would say oftentimes based on your mindset going into a situation. So that's why when we go into these situations, we have to think about going inward. We have to think about, remember what makes us cool and why someone would want to talk to you. Think about that conversation on like, if you were talking to yourself, what would you love to talk to yourself about? What would someone love to talk to you about? And also, before you go into a situation, you can do one of those things where you gain confidence, like star pose or making yourself big, like power stance. I don't know if some people have heard of this. Probably it's like a psychologically proven thing where if you make yourself big, like just put your arms out, stand up straight, put your like legs out like that, stand as big as you can, and take a deep breath. And that will just give you self-confidence. And this is called star pose. So you standing like this, and your legs are out like this too. You're like standing with your feet hip-width distance apart, and then take a few deep breaths in that pose. And that will automatically make you be like, oh, you feel a lot better. You feel a lot stronger, more confidence. So anyway, that's a great way to do it. And let's do a little that pose right now. So either stand up right now, or you can stay sitting. Just uncross your legs, sit up real straight, make your arms go wide and high. Take a big inhale through the nose. And when you exhale, when you drop the head back and stretch your chest forward and exhale out the mouth. So let's do that again. Inhale, look forward. Inhale through the nose. And exhale, look back and exhale out the mouth. Inhale, look forward. And exhale. Okay, great. Now put your hands down. And how do you feel? Do you feel better? Maybe feel a little tired? Maybe feel calm. It should be like a very calming, taking deep breaths can calm you down. And even that, like doing deep breaths, if you're kind of anxious going into social situations, that can be a big help before you go into social situations. Gaining the confidence, calming yourself down, and being able to reflect back on like, okay, I'm okay. These are the reasons I'm cool, and it's okay if it doesn't work out. So also thinking about the way you come across. We want to think about how to read others too. So reflecting on how you want to come across is helpful, but it's also helpful to read others' interests. So when someone is talking to you, notice their tone of voice, their body language. Are they opening? Are they facing you? Or are they facing away from you? Because that can kind of show like, oh, they're not really that interested, and maybe I should move on to someone else who could be more interested. Are they making eye contact, or are they kind of looking around the room? That can be a good signifier of someone who's interested or not interested in talking to you. And if someone's not interested, it just means you need to end that conversation and move on to someone else, because don't waste your time with someone who is obviously not interested, whether you end the conversation or they end the conversation. So, but sometimes there are situations where someone might just have a weird voice or they might just like have a nervous tick or something that's like, they might like talk out of the side of their mouth. So like, don't judge based on visuals. Don't judge based on one thing. We want to be aware of all the things. And so if you can overlook something, if something's like really just like, oh, I don't know about the energy of that person or like the way they're moving their hands. I mean, don't still give them a chance if you want to in a networking or in a group situation. Still see if they're, we got to be open-minded here. So like, still see if they're interesting to talk to. But we can be aware of all the things and how they come together in order to, make someone who they are. So that the body language can meld in with what they're saying in order to see if you relate with them. And then here comes the point of when we talked about who are you looking for and how do they make you feel? How does the situation feel? Do you have a gut feeling that you get them, that you're like understanding each other? Then keep on asking questions. If you're like really jiving with them, see if you can sneak in a way to see them again. Ask if they're like come to this place often. Say you'll see them next time. If you're at like a coffee shop or something, be like, oh, see you next time. Or even ask them to like follow you on Instagram, or if you can have their Instagram. I kind of advocate to make connections on your phone less, but really it's about how you feel in person with someone and then maintaining that connection if you do feel that connection in real life. And a good way to do that is online. So are you excited? Are you being lifted up? So being connected once you meet someone and they're like really exciting to you, then being connected online is a good way to build that relationship wherever it ends up going. But when that happens, I don't want you to just like glom onto one person. I want you to keep your mind open and keep meeting a lot of new people. So, because you never know what's going to happen. Like, you got to keep your options open. You got to keep talking to people throughout your life, because all these connections can come back. If you meet someone at a networking event, but you don't need a job at the time, maybe you will later. If you meet someone and it doesn't work out, maybe you can come back to them later. So it's good to keep your options open and keep an open mind. So we'll talk about resiliency in the next part. But now we'll talk about open-minded. Now that I just talked about being open-minded, let's talk a little bit more about how to open your mind. So I want you to think about how you feel when someone accepts you, even though they don't agree with you and you don't agree with them. Maybe write that down. like when someone accepts you for who you are, even if you don't really get along. And then how do you feel when someone shuts you down without listening or getting to know you based on one thing about you? If they shut you down based on one thing they learned about you, how does that make you feel? Probably not very good. So this is the difference between being open-minded and closed-minded. And obviously it's big in politics and just society as we know it right now. But we are all very complex humans with a variety of interests and beliefs. We don't all fit into a definition. But when we talk and get to know people, we define ourselves with words to help people understand us faster. So like, I'm an accountant. I'm a Republican. I'm a mom. I like the color blue. There's certain things that like just come up, like different stereotypes even. So in this way we help but in this way we have to help someone understand us and see if they relate with us on the same level. So we have to like kind of communicate that way. But each word or phrase that you define yourself by has a different meaning or stigma for the person listening. So you saying you're an artist could make that person think you're eccentric, like Frankie from Grace and Frankie, the show. And they can make assumptions about you before even talking to you, just based on that one phrase you said about yourself. Or they could learn you're an artist and be really interested in that and think that's super cool and want to get to know you more. So everyone is guilty of making these quick judgments. There's no getting around it. But what you can do in this situation is dig deeper. When you feel you want to dismiss someone or stop talking to them based on like one thing they say, see if you can accept it and find something you do relate on. Of course, if you try this a few times and you don't relate on anything, don't beat your head against the wall. Sometimes you won't be able to connect with someone, and that's fine. Just let them be and walk away and try again with someone else. So, for example, I'm a vegetarian, and that could put me in a box for some people. Like, oh, I'm not going to talk to you. But I've dated a hunter, a fisherman. We got past that. We accepted each other for who we are, past those definitions. And without being open-minded, that would not happen. And the thing is, you don't have to meet someone open-minded to connect with them. As long as you're open-minded and willing to listen and get to know them more, they will open up to you, just like how we evolved from apes. And we mimic each other. If you show an open mind to someone else, they will be more willing to give you an open mind and accept you. So in that way, it's amazing. I mean, even that Brene Brown quote is, I don't know if you, I think this is from her Netflix documentary or something. No, I think it's from a book, whatever. It's from everything she teaches. She says, you can't hate close up. So you could make a quick judgment on someone and then learn something about them and be like, oh, I never knew that. And like, we have this thing in common. I think her example was like, I don't remember. I think it was like someone was on the PTA with her and she didn't like their politics or something. But then once she found out that they were like, or maybe they came across really cold and like distant, and she didn't like them right away. But then she found out they were like stressed out and helping their ailing mother. Then she could relate with that and be like, oh, that's really hard, and give sympathy to that. Once you learn a little bit more about someone, even if no matter how they come across to you. So, I mean, that's a great way to stay open. And if you are willing to listen to someone and you're curious about learning about them more, then they will show that same thing back to you. And I also wanted to talk about this other book I read called Invisible Influence by Jonah Berger. He explains that humans are very social and we mimic each other, but when we have conversations and someone crosses their arms, the other person is likely to do that too. So if you show someone you're open-minded by asking them questions and listening to them, they're likely to mimic that and ask you questions back and be willing to open up to you too. So so if you want to meet people and get close to them, either meeting friends, meeting a new date, networking, you have to practice being open-minded with them. So I hope that is helpful. And I want you to write down ways that you could be open-minded to the next person you meet. Whether it's asking more questions, whether it's staying and listening, or if it's just opening a door or being kind of nice to someone who you think who you made a quick judgment about. Just write something down about how you could be more open-minded. And then in the next class, or in the next part, we're going to talk about resiliency and how to not take it personal if someone doesn't want to talk to you, which is a big thing that happens when we meet people in real life, because we are always, there's always going to be times where we put our foot in our mouth. There's always going to be times where we mess up. Human interaction is messy. We misunderstand each other. That just happens. We say something awkward. Someone else says something awkward. We say something offensive. How do we come back from that? Or, how do we come back from that? Essentially, that's what we're going to talk about next time. And then in part 4, we're going to talk about conversation starters, places to go to meet new people, and all that good stuff. So I'll see you in the next video.